Plant combos. I think this is where people really sometimes struggle. I do lots of consultation work, and this is always the struggle, is that it's easy to figure out kind of where you want your garden beds to be. It's, you know, and you know you got shade, you know you got sun, you know the overall conditions, and then you go to pick out plants, and it's just a real struggle. So this is part of a series of videos on plant combinations, and this first combination we're going to do is a shade combination. We've got 4 plants that were placed on a slight slope in a part shade to shade condition, and they're all performing beautifully here. This is a landscape project we've been working on at a friend's house not too far from our garden here in Raleigh, North Carolina. Steph did the design on this, and we've installed it over about 5 videos on the channel, and things are starting to put on some growth now, and they're starting to come together, and we're seeing, you know, how they're going to look going forward. This little 4-plant combo we're going to talk about here has a amazing mixture of texture, color, the leaf shapes, you know, all of, you know, we've got shiny foliage, kind of matte foliage. We've got you know, these chartreuse colors. We've got this pop, and then, you know, things back in the back of it to settle your eye a bit as well. There's flowers, but it's not really, you know, you know, I've got sitting here in front of these Oakleaf hydrangeas, which are quite colorful, but really this group doesn't need to flower to look great as a combination. So let's go through the 4 plants in the combo. At the bottom of this slight slope is a Heucherella called Solar Eclipse. Heucherella are a combination of Heuchera and Tiarella, both natives that have been crossed together. Some of these Heucherella hybrids are really, really beautiful, and this one is not an exception to that. Solar Eclipse will come out with really bright gold margins on the leaf. That gold will fade over time, and that center color that you're seeing, that maroon color, will kind of take over as the season goes on. Here we are in May, and you can see these kind of foamy, you know, frilly white flowers on the top of it. Not really growing them for the flower so much, but they do flower. Pollinators absolutely love them. It's just a great piece that evolves during the season. Right behind the Solar Eclipse Heucherella are 6 Everillo Carex, and this Carex is, we've used it in our garden as well, and I think it's one of the most widely used plants I see now in shade gardens because it's such a great pop of color. They're hardy in a very wide range, so lots of people watching can grow it. That Heucherella is actually hardy in zone 4 to 9, so lots and lots of people can grow it. It definitely needs well-drained soil, so it's just the perfect piece on a slope like this. Again, in a part shade or shady spot. This bank's probably slightly moist sometimes, but again, it's draining well because of this slight slope. These Everillo Carex are hardy in zone 5 to 9, so again, most folks watching it can grow them. They're evergreen here in zone 7B on the edge of 8A, and that's going to be true for pretty much everybody watching, except up in zone 5, maybe into 6A. Some winters can make it a little rough looking, and you can decide at the end of winter just to cut them back, and they'll come back out of that. I will say, they don't come back out of being cut back hard as fast as other things do. So if you can avoid cutting them back, I would avoid cutting them back. A lot of times we wouldn't think of 2 chartreuse things going together like this, but with the difference in the texture of the leaf, the shape, you know, the shape of the leaf, the evolving color on that Heucherella down there, they absolutely look fantastic together. So keep in mind, this project is only this part of this project is maybe only 18 months in the ground. Those Everillos have just taken off. The dwarf Oakleaf hydrangeas that we'll talk about in a minute have taken off. These Sarcococca are a little bit slower. Sweet box are a little bit slower to fill in, but they'll fill in this area with really nice, shiny, evergreen foliage. These will bloom with very fragrant flowers, but they're insignificant. The flowers are just on the backs of the stems a couple of months ago. This is like a late winter flowering shrub. Again, fragrant flowers, shiny green foliage. This is actually why this was added to this spot. So you could take anything here that's dark green, that has a contrasting foliage to either this Oakleaf hydrangea or that kind of strappy foliage of the grass-like Carex, and stick it in here. So these are hardy in zone 6 to 9. Great option for anybody in those zones. This is a slightly protected space, so it would be absolutely fine in zone 6 in a you know, in the understory like this. You could use a boxwood, you know, some sort of dwarf boxwood for this if you were in a colder zone. These Utopia plum yews that are just to the side of me that wrap around the rest of the porch, those could have been tucked in here as well. So again, we're just looking for something that's dark green to just kind of rest your eye. We've got these crazy pops of color down here at the bottom. Something green, didn't need to flower, was the third piece here, and I recommend that a lot when I'm doing design. Everybody wants flowers, 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 or foliage color, bright things, but you do need something that's just kind of green to settle the eye. Up at the top are a couple of Munchkin Oakleaf hydrangeas. The Munchkin was a National Arboretum release. It is a very compact growing Oakleaf hydrangea. So, you know, on the tags, it's going to say it reaches 3 to 4 feet by 3 to 4 feet. And it does that in a very, very compact fashion as it grows. You don't get the long, you know, stretched out pieces that you'll get on other Oakleaf hydrangeas. It will go past 3 to 4 feet by 3 to 4 feet in the future if you let it. They come out, you can see these inflorescences or these, you know, come out, and they're kind of a lime green color, and then they get whiter and whiter, and then these kind of fade to a pink, and then ultimately that flowery or that papery color that you'll get in the wintertime. They make great cut flowers. This is it's a native plant with those large oak leaf like leaves on it. Great color, and then in the fall it becomes maroon, and that maroon foliage mixed with the evergreen shiny foliage on the Sarcococca or the sweet box, and these chartreuse pieces down here is also going to be, you know, a great combo even into the fall. Typically here in the south, you know, these are hardy in zone 5 to 9, and typically down here in the south, they'll hold those burgundy leaves for a long period of time. Like even down in zone 9, I see them. They're not evergreen, but the burgundy leaves are on them right through January. So they're showy. And then when they lose their leaves, the structure of those is great. And they have exfoliating bark as well. So Oakleaf hydrangeas are great 4-season plants. Everything here is pretty much evergreen except for those, but even those have winter interest. So this has just turned out as a great combo for a shady space. If you had a shady foundation and more of a flat area, you could use these exact same things. I might think about making sure that Heucherella is in a well draining spot. You could use some other low growing green ground cover, you know, for the bottom of it if you think it's not going to drain all that well, or if you struggle with Heuchera or Tiarellas or Heucherellas. You can switch out any shiny dark green thing here that has a different leaf shape than the Oakleaf hydrangea and a different leaf shape than the Carex, because it's that combo of leaf size, leaf shape, even the sheen on the leaves, the color in the foliage, the flower types, you know, all of those things are what contrast and make each individual plant stand out, you know, in a unique way in a combo like this. So we're going to be looking around for combos all over the place. There's more of these videos coming for all different types of conditions. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel for that. And thanks for following along.